I've been an Uber Eats driver for almost 2 years now. I know every shortcut, every dark alley, and every red flag neighborhood in my city. You develop a sixth sense for things like which orders are legit, and which ones don't feel right. It was a Thursday night, quiet, chilly, almost midnight. I was parked near downtown, finishing up what I thought would be my last delivery of the night, when a new order came through. Pickup, Taco Bell Lincoln Avenue drop-off, 70 Wexler. Ave Unit BU's basement door. The payout was abnormally high for fast food. $23 for a $12 order. I blinked. Either a generous tipper, or a problem. I tapped accept anyway. I was low on rent, and something about high payouts on slow nights messes with your logic. Wexler Avenue had a weird reputation among drivers. It wasn't exactly dangerous, just isolated. A long, cracked road that led to an unfinished cul-de-sac on the edge of town. Half the houses out there looked abandoned. There were Reddit threads where people said they'd lost GPS there, or got delivery pings to homes that didn't exist. I never bought into that crap. Glitches happen. People love making up scary delivery stories for attention. Still, the basement door part gave me pause. I'd seen enough sketchy setups to know how sideways that could go. When I got to the Taco Bell, the guy at the window handed me the order like he couldn't wait to get rid of it. "You're taking this too, Wexler?" he asked casually. I nodded. "Huh, be careful out there." He didn't say it in a joking way. There wasn't a grin on his face. Just a flat warning, like he was telling me to avoid black ice on the road. I drove out of the plaza and headed north. The city lights faded behind me as I passed into the rural edge of town. No more street lights, just empty fields and frost-covered lawns. My headlights bounced off the yellow address numbers nailed onto cracked wooden fences. Finally, I saw the turnoff for Wexler Ave. The street sign was twisted, half fallen, like someone had hit it with a truck years ago. My GPS glitched once, recalculated, then finally locked back on, arriving at destination in 900 feet. As I crept forward, I saw the house. A tall, thin two-story, white paint, peeled clean off most of the siding. No lights in the windows, no cars in the driveway, but there was a faint yellow bulb glowing over a basement door on the side of the house. That was it. 70 Wexler. I put the car in park. The food bag sat on the passenger seat, radiating warmth. My phone buzzed. "Leave it door basement. Do not knock. They'll come out." That's when I noticed something else. There were no footprints in the thin layer of frost leading up to that basement door. None coming out, none going in. Just ... undisturbed frost. And an open door. Slightly ajar, and then I saw something move in the window above. Not someone, something. I sat in my car for a solid minute, just watching the house. No motion, no sound. The light above the basement door flickered every few seconds, like it was about to burn out. I stared at that narrow opening, just a few inches of darkness between. The door and the frame. The app buzzed again. "Leave at door. They'll come out." I opened the door slowly, grabbing the food bag and stepping out into the cold. Frost crunched under my boots as I approached the side of the house. There were no other lights on, no porch glow, no upstairs windows lit. Just that dying yellow bulb above the basement entrance. The door, still ajar, let out a low creak as the wind moved it ever so slightly. I crouched and gently set the bag down on the step, trying to ignore the gnawing discomfort in my gut. As I straightened up, I glanced at the small, grimy basement window beside the door. I could have sworn someone had been standing behind it minutes earlier, but now it just reflected the glow from my headlights behind me. I took one step back toward the car. That's when I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. 3 slow knocks. From the inside of the basement door. My spine tensed. I stopped moving. Tap, a 4th one. Louder. It wasn't asking me to come in. It wasn't even on the wood. It sounded like fingernails. Then I heard something else, a voice faint, muffled like it was coming through a thick wall. Don't go. I froze. The voice was female, definitely, but hoarse, urgent. Please, don't leave me here. I stared at the door. The voice didn't come from behind. It came from below. Like the speaker was deeper underground than just a basement. They don't let you leave when you come inside. I took another step back. My instincts screamed at me to go. But then, a different voice. One that sounded off, like it was copying a human voice, but hadn't quite mastered how to speak. Everything's fine now. It came from the top of the stairs just inside the door. Calm. To calm. The girl is confused. I didn't move. I didn't blink. You can come in now. It repeated it. The same exact words. Same tone. Like an audio recording stuck on loop. You can come in now. You can come in now. I turned and walked, slowly, back toward my car. I didn't run. I didn't slam the door. I just eased into the seat and locked it in one smooth motion. As I pulled away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. The basement door had opened wider, and someone, or something tall and hunched, was standing in the shadows, watching me leave. I didn't look back again, but I didn't go home. EITHERI parked at a gas station a few miles away and stared at the app. There was no history of the delivery, no payout added to my balance. The order was gone. I sat in the Shell parking lot, parked between two fuel pumps under buzzing fluorescent lights, staring at my phone in disbelief. The Uber Eats app showed no record of the Taco Bell order. Not in completed, not in canceled. It was as if it had never existed. But I had driven there. I had picked up the food. I had heard that voice. My heart was still racing. I tapped my trip history again. Still nothing. I refreshed the app. Nothing. It was just past 12:30 a.m. now, and the night had gone deathly silent. Not even cars passed by on the road in front of me. I wasn't just creeped out. I was rattled. Then the app kicked me offline on its own. A message popped up. Account access temporarily disabled. Contact support. What the hell? My hands were shaking. I tapped the support chat, but it just spun and gave me a canned response. Due to unusual activity, we've temporarily paused your access. I opened my bank app. No deposit, no payout. From the Taco Bell run. My last delivery was still the Chinese food I dropped off before the Wexler ping. It didn't make sense. Orders don't just disappear. Trips don't just erase. Then I checked the Taco Bell location on Google Maps, just to make sure. I wasn't losing my mind. Taco Bell Lincoln Avenue currently closed. Opens at 9 a.m. That didn't feel right. I had just picked up the food. The drive-thru guy. The weird way he said, "Be careful out there." I tapped through my call logs to see if I could find a support message. A text from the customer. Something. Nothing. But there was one unfamiliar number in my recent calls. 907-555-0132. I hadn't called it. It had called me. Just once. While I was driving to Wexler. I must have missed it while the GPS was on. I copied the number and searched it online. No results. I opened the voicemail tab, and sure enough, one new message. I tapped it. The voice that played was glitchy and distorted, like it had been recorded through layers of static. I saw your car. I saw you leave. Static crackle. You should have come in. Silence. But it's okay. You'll be back. I nearly dropped my phone. Then the voicemail auto-deleted itself. Not swiped to delete. It just vanished from the screen. I was done. I drove home without accepting any more orders. And for a while, I convinced myself it was a fluke. A technical glitch. Maybe even a prank. Something to laugh about later. But then the dreams started. At first, they were just flickers, dreams I couldn't fully remember. I'd wake up with sweat clinging to my skin, and the feeling that someone had been watching me through my bedroom door. But there was never anyone there. The third night, After the Wexler delivery, the dreams changed. I remember every detail of that one. I was driving again, except it wasn't my car. The dashboard was unfamiliar, cracked plastic, old radio knobs instead of a touchscreen. I was on Wexler Avenue, but the street didn't look abandoned anymore. All the houses were lived in. Their windows glowed warmly. Shadows moved inside them, but there were no driveways, no mailboxes, no streetlights, just house after house after house. Each one looked exactly the same. I wasn't alone in the car. In the passenger seat sat a paper bag with the Uber Eats logo, soaked with grease. A soft rhythmic sound came from it like breathing. I tried to look inside, but the car suddenly jerked to the side and stopped. I was in front of 70 Wexler again, but this time, the house was on fire. Except, the flames weren't orange, they were black, like a negative image of fire. They moved in slow, unnatural waves, without smoke. I opened the door without meaning to. My feet moved on their own, taking me toward the basement door. The light above it wasn't yellow anymore. It was red, pulsing, like a heartbeat. I opened the basement door, and inside was a staircase, but it spiraled downward, impossible to exist in a normal house. It just kept going, and someone was screaming, not just scared screaming like they'd been down there for days, begging to die. I didn't want to go down, but my body did. My feet started stepping onto the staircase. "You'll be back," a voice whispered, the same voice from the voicemail. And then I saw her, the girl who had whispered to me through the door that night. She was crouched in a corner of the stairs, her arms covered in scratches, eyes sunken. "Please," she mouthed, tears on her face. "Help me." That's when the thing behind her rose. It was tall, thin, with limbs that bent too far. Its skin was like wet paper, translucent and sagging. It had no eyes, just an impossibly wide smile, curling up near where its ears should have been. It reached out for her, and for me. And that's when I woke up, screaming. My sheets were soaked through. My apartment was freezing. I checked the thermostat. It had somehow dropped to 42 degrees. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I picked it up. No texts, just one notification. New delivery available. $24.33 pickup. Taco Bell, Lincoln Avenue drop-off. 70 Wexler Avenue unit. Be accept or decline. I didn't touch the screen, but the app accepted it on its own. The moment the screen flashed delivery accepted, I swiped to cancel, but the canceled trip button didn't work. It just froze the app. Then my phone buzzed again. Route recalculating. Estimated arrival, 12:17 a.m. I wasn't even logged in. I turned off the phone, held the power button. Black screen. Silence. 2 seconds later, it turned itself back on. Right back to the Uber Eats screen. Right back to the delivery, to 70 Wexler Avenue. I pulled the battery out. It was the only thing I could do. The phone went dead, for real this time. My apartment was completely still. No humming fridge, no ticking wall clock, just dead silence. Not even outside noise from the city below. It felt like I'd been unplugged from the world. I walked into the living room. That's when I saw something that made my heart skip. On the kitchen counter was a brown paper bag. Uber Eats grease stain on the bottom. It hadn't been there an hour ago. There was no name, no receipt. I didn't want to touch it, but I did. The bag was ice cold, colder than the air in my apartment, and it made a faint crinkling noise when I lifted it, like something inside was shifting around. I opened it. Inside was a single OBJECT, a cracked iPhone, covered in dirt, screen shattered. On the back scrawled in permanent marker, Donnie M. My. Felt my knees weakened. Donnie Mendoza. That name. I knew that name. There had been a missing person case 6 months ago. Another Uber Eats driver, a girl in her early 20s, vanished without a trace during a late-night delivery. The last ping from her phone had come from Wexler Avenue. They never found her. I suddenly remembered the voice from the basement. The one that had whispered through the door, "Don't leave me here." It had been her. I dropped the phone. My hands were trembling, but I forced myself to open my laptop. Searched Donnie Mendoza, missing Uber Eats. I found the article. Local news. Her photo. Her eyes. The same terrified eyes I had seen in my dream. My stomach turned. Then, as I stared at the screen, a pop-up appeared. An audio file just started playing on its own. A voice, whispering, "You heard me. You saw me. Now they know you're listening." I slammed the laptop shut. A knock echoed from my front door. 3 slow knocks, just like the basement. I looked through the peephole. Nobody, just hallway. Until something stepped into frame. Not a person, but a shadow that didn't match anything. A tall, unnatural silhouette that shimmered like heat waves and stretched too far down the wall. And then it smiled, not with a mouth, but with a noise. A low, wide, wet sound that somehow felt like a grin. I backed away, but I already knew. It hadn't come to kill me. It had come to invite me. The shadow stayed at the edge of the hallway light, stretching impossibly tall, its smile echoing in my ears like a dark melody. I wanted to run, slam the door, call the cops, but my feet felt glued to the floor. Then my phone, still dead for hours, suddenly vibrated on the table. It lit up with a single notification. New message from Donnie Mendoza. I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over it, terrified to open it, and yet unable to resist. The message read, "Follow the route. Find me." There was a link below, a GPS trail marked through Wexler Avenue, but it twisted and folded like a maze, sometimes doubling back on itself, sometimes vanishing into the woods. I grabbed my coat and keys and headed out. I wasn't sure if I was following Donnie or the shadow, or if it mattered anymore. The air was thick with fog, and the only sound was my footsteps, crunching on frost-covered leaves. The first stop on Donnie's route was an abandoned house. The front door hung open, revealing darkness beyond on side. I found scraps of paper, scribbled notes in Donnie's handwriting. They told a story of being trapped, lured by a promise of safety that turned to nightmare. They want to keep me here. The deliveries are the trap. Every driver who stops becomes the next. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Donnie. Don't trust the voice. Don't answer the door. As I turned to leave, the floorboards creaked behind me. The shadow was closer now, its grin wider. I ran. I burst out of the abandoned house, lungs burning from cold air and adrenaline. The shadow's laughter, if you could call it, that code softly behind me, a wet, gurgling sound that clung to the night. My phone buzzed again. This time the message was different. The driver before you was named Mike. He tried to warn others, but the message cut off, replaced by a video file. I hesitated, thumb trembling before pressing play. The video was grainy and shot in night vision. A man's shaky voice whispered as he filmed a narrow, twisting staircase leading down into darkness, the same basement from the house on Wexler. If you get this, don't come here. This place. It's not normal. They won't let you go. Suddenly, the camera jerked violently, and the video went black. The last sound was a guttural growl, then a scream cut off abruptly. I dropped my phone. The sound of footsteps too many surrounded me. The shadow was no longer alone. Shapes shifted at the edges of my vision, pale and twisted like reflections in broken glass. I ran faster than I thought possible, back toward my car. But as I reached the street, the GPS on my phone blinked back on. A new message popped up. "It's your turn now." I slammed the driver's side door and locked it behind me, my breath coming in ragged gasps. My hands were shaking too hard to start the engine. The phone in my lap lit up again. "You can still leave, but once you follow the route, there's no turning back." My thumb hovered over the screen. I knew what I wanted to do. Get the hell out of there. But part of me, the part that couldn't stop asking questions, wanted answers. Who was this shadow? What happened to Donnie? And all the others? Was there a way out? The GPS blinked, showing a new destination, 70 Wexler Avenue basement door. I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror, pale, tired, worn down. Then I took a deep breath and hit start. The car engine roared to life. The shadows outside seemed to lean closer. Whatever waited for me at Wexler, I was heading right into it. The drive back to Wexler Avenue was a blur of dark trees and cracked pavement illuminated only by my headlights and the cold glow of my phone's GPS. When I reached the house, the front door was closed, tight, no longer ajar like before. The basement light flickered, casting long shadows against the peeling white walls. I grabbed the food bag still warm despite how long it had been and stepped toward the basement door. My fingers trembled as I pushed it open. A stale, heavy scent hit me immediately. Damp earth, mold, and something metallic underneath. The stairs spiraled down into an abyss of darkness. My phone flashlight barely pierced the gloom, but something moved just beyond the beam, quick and silent. A whisper echoed off the concrete walls. "Welcome back." I hesitated, then took the first step down. Each step creaked underfoot, the sound swallowed by the oppressive silence that followed. Halfway down, the stairs opened into a cavernous room, walls lined with dozens of personal items, photos, and faded notes pinned in haphazard clusters. I recognized some of the faces immediately, missing delivery drivers, their eyes wide with fear. A fresh note was pinned in the center. "Help me before it's too late." Suddenly, the temperature dropped, sharply. My breath fogged from the shadows. The thing emerged, that grotesque figure with its inhuman grin, stretching impossibly tall, its limbs folding in unnatural angles. It reached for me. My heart thundered in my chest as the creature's long fingers stretched toward me, slick and pale in the dim light. The air smelled like wet concrete and something fouled, rotten earth mixed with decay. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping on the scattered photos and notes. The flashlight trembled in my hand, casting frantic shadows across the walls. Desperation surged through me. I sprinted back toward the staircase, the creature's low, gurgling hiss chasing me like a predator closing in. The stairs felt endless as I scrambled upward, the weight of unseen hands brushing my back. Just as I reached the basement door, it slammed shut hard enough to shake the house. I slammed my shoulder against it, panic flooding my mind. The thing's wet, twisted smile appeared through the gap beneath the door. With one final shove, the door creaked open. I burst outside into the cold night, gasping for air. The house loomed silently behind me, as if nothing had happened. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. My phone buzzed. Once more. A text from an unknown number. "You're free, for now." But I knew better. The Wexler route wasn't finished with me. Days passed, but sleep eluded me. Every night, the same restless dreams, the shadows grin, the basement stairs spiraling into darkness, Donnie's desperate eyes. My phone stayed silent, but my mind wasn't. I felt watched everywhere, in my apartment, the grocery store, even the diner where I grabbed coffee. And then, late one night, the app lit up again. New delivery, 70 Wexler Avenue, Unit C. My hands froze on the screen. The house had multiple units now. I'd only seen A and B before. I debated ignoring it, deleting the app, even quitting delivery for good. But something pulled me back, a mix of guilt, fear, and the need to end this. I accepted the order. As I drove, I noticed the familiar fog thickening, and the streetlights flickered out, one by one. The house waited at the end of Wexler Avenue. Silent, but alive. I stepped out, the weight of unseen eyes pressing down on me, and from the shadows, a whisper. You came back. The air was thick and still, as if the whole world was holding its breath. I stood at the threshold of 70 Wexler Avenue, Unit C, the last stop on Donnie's cursed route. The porch light flickered weakly, barely cutting through the fog. I gripped the food bag tighter, heart hammering in my chest. The basement door was open. Slowly, I stepped inside. The stairs twisted downward, deeper and darker than ever before. I could hear whispers faint, like a crowd just beyond hearing. "You're not alone. We're waiting." My flashlight flickered, then died. I was plunged into pitch black dots suddenly. Hands grabbed me, cold, clammy, pulling me down. But then a voice broke through the darkness. Clear, strong. "Run. Don't look back." It was Donnie. Somehow, she was here, using every ounce of strength. I broke free and scrambled up the stairs, bursting through the basement door into the cold night. The shadow and its chorus of whispers faded into silence. My phone buzzed one last time. "Thank you for delivering the truth." The app logged me out. The Wexler route disappeared. I never took another Uber Eats order at night again.